This is wild. On the list of things I was not expecting to see today, we have Destiny 2 is currently the second best-selling game on Steam in the US and fourth globally. So it's cooking, right? This brings me to one conclusion, which is that all publicity is good publicity, all right? Because people have been absolutely roasting Bungie, left, right, and center, from Marathon to the Edge of Fate. It's been a lot of backlash. It's been a lot of criticism. But you know what that does? That creates a lot of buzz. That creates a lot of talk, a lot of noise. And apparently, the noise broke through. And people are buying The Edge of Fate. Because Destiny 2 is a free-to-play game, so if it's the second best-selling game on Steam, then that means that this is best-selling in terms of it selling The Edge of Fate, I imagine? Or are we talking about a lot of people are just downloading it? It's a free-to-play game, so like, does that mean a lot more people are downloading it all of a sudden? Especially considering that Bungie made all of the expansions, all of the previous expansions, completely free. So, we'll see, you know? I'm not sure which one that is, but we can look at the charts a little bit and see what we got going on here. This is a 3-month chart from Steam charts, so this does not apply to console player bases and numbers, but usually the trend is comparable, right? If you were to look at Xbox, it would look like this. If you were to look at PlayStation, it would look like this. There would just be more numbers, like it would be higher because there's more people playing on console, right? So the 3-month trend shows here you got like, 20-something thousands, and then we got the final shape, 60,000. All right, well, maybe, yeah, let's see, yeah. Right around here, and then we're just been sitting here for a while now. Look at this. Look, for a while now, we've been sitting around the sub 30,000 on Steam. This has been the median here throughout the month of June, around 30,000. At any point in time, we're at that. But now, this last week, starting July 8th, everything went free, right? And you can see a pretty decent little growth here, up to 40,000, 45,000, right? This is the last week leading into the Edge of Fate. So I think we acquired at least a few new players. If we go up from 30s, 10,000, 15,000 new players, maybe old players logging back in. It's nothing crazy impressive. We're not blowing up from this by any means, but it's a substantial increase. It's an increase. We'll have to see what the pre-order numbers are. We'll have to do a follow-up and find out exactly what the pre-orders are based on the number of emblems redeemed, because that is a really interesting statistic. Yes, so here we go. Yeah, this is the Edge of Fate pre-orders are trending 47% lower than the final shape. So this is the graph here, right? Zoom in on this. All right, so the idea is that the final shape is the yellow one here. The Edge of Fate is the blue one here. And then Edge of Fate percentage of the final shape, okay? So we don't have to worry about the purple, really. You can just see the graph, like the trend upwards, like as you get closer to the day of launch, right? This is the line is the launch day, right? So every time there's a launch day, there's a big spike and increase. But if we take the exact trajectory of the final shape, which had a lot more hype and momentum than Edge of Fate, if I'm being honest, and we apply that exact same trajectory onto the current trending Edge of Fate graph here, we get a very grim result. So basically, people are predicting that the pre-orders are going to be down low. We'll see though. Maybe this graph looks different. Maybe this graph spikes up much higher. Maybe we have a lot of dormant players, or people are just playing other games, but then we get them back on over here. Maybe a bunch of new players come in because Bungie made the game free, like all the expansions free for the last week. So maybe got a bunch of new people logging in, leveling up, unlocking things. Maybe it's different, but the trajectories are looking bad. I want an update on this though, is what I want. I want an update. He's been tracking the data on Warmind.io. Yes, I'm gonna save this. Save. That's good. A third darkness subclass would change that? Absolutely. This guy, honestly, I was expecting it to be worse. Wasn't final shape lower on pre-orders than normal though? It was lower than Lightfall. Yeah, Lightfall was a bamboozlement, right? Every time there's an expansion that does worse, where like people are like really unhappy about it, the next one, it has a trickle down effect where people are like, oh, I got bamboozled by Lightfall, I'm not gonna buy the next one. So unfortunately, if Lightfall had delivered, the final shape would have probably eclipsed everything, but it didn't. So yeah, this was posted 19 days ago. And I want to see when there's an update to this. Yeah, he keeps doing this. This guy's all about the fucking stats. Cool. We'll keep a close eye on that one. Destiny doesn't need this all the time. It doesn't need this massive spike in population. What it needs is consistency, right? What it needs is Warframe's consistency. Have you seen Warframe on the Steam charts? Warframe on the Steam charts is like illegal, okay? And Warframe is probably the closest game in comparison to Destiny, right? So this is Warframe across 3 months, right? This is what Warframe is. I just did this. I showed you the same graph for Destiny 2, right? Can pull it back up again. Steam charts, Destiny, bada bing, bada boom. We can even compare the two together, actually. I think you can compare with others. Add Destiny in here. Destiny 2. Yep. Enter. Yes, good. So, green is Warframe, and blue is Destiny. Obviously, some games are more popular than other games, but Warframe has like a fifth of the developmental effort that Destiny does, so their ROI is better. And you can see that they always stay at like a 50,000 player base, right? On Steam, which is not including your Xbox, which is not including your PC, or not including your PlayStation. And obviously, when a new expansion comes out, like June 25th, something big launched in Warframe, right? And that's what you want. That's what Destiny, I think that's what Bungie's goal is right here, really more than anything, is a consistent player base that's much higher than its current low. Because right now, Bungie's low points get a little too low that it discourages people from playing, or it gets... Like, you go into Crucible and you're just matching a bunch of cheaters, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing here? You know? But when there's, like, a higher player base, you'll match a cheater, but it's, like, once in a while. And then it's kind of funny because they're, like, big, you know? So you'll kind of laugh about it and then move on, right? But if you match a cheater and they have, like, the big gun every time, or they have, like, the gun that's, like, 400 times bigger than normal, and you match them game after game after game, you're like, all right, this is getting old now, you know? And that's partly due to population. Obviously, the anti-cheat needs to be better, but, you know, there are going to be cheaters in the game no matter what. So what they need is to just consistently, for the Edge of Fate, they need to consistently, week after week, give us something to do, something to chase for, so that way the population hits a high note on average. Consistency is what they're looking for. Consistency is what they need. If they can do what Warframe does, which is so crazy to think that Warframe is literally doing better than Destiny, then they're going to be in a good spot. But we'll see. We'll see if the Edge of Fate can deliver that. Warframe on top right now, apparently. Trials is a good example of what is wrong with Destiny. They designed the game for the 1% and the bottom 90% drops off. Well, that's not exactly accurate with the new additions, though, right? Like, if you look at all the new Trials cards, they made them significantly more accessible to the average player. Like, now everyone can load into Trials, and if you just play for long enough, you'll eventually get the wins and get to the lighthouse, you know? It might take you a little while, but everyone can get to the lighthouse. I've never heard, since the new cards have come out, I've never heard of someone saying, oh, I played 100 games of Trials and I didn't make it to lighthouse. Like, dude, you're making it to the damn lighthouse, you know? It might take you longer than at the average bear, but you're getting to the lighthouse, especially with the new additions. Literally, if you win one match, you get a win on your card. If you lose 400 matches, you still have one win on your card. And then if you win a match on your 401st loss, you win that one, then you have 2 wins on your card. And then you lose 400 matches, you still have 2 wins. And then you lose another 10,000 matches, you still have 2 wins. And then if you win one, you have 3 wins. You know what I'm saying? Like, eventually you get there, right? Eventually you get there.